Another way to have a collection of multiple values is with an array. Like a tuple, arrays are going to have a fixed length. But an array is different from a tuple because every element of an array must have the same type. Now there are a couple different ways that we can set up an array, with the first one being, let's create an array variable, give it some brackets, and then we're going to create an array that holds integers. So here we created our first array and assigned values 1, 2, and 3 inside of it. Now, like a tuple, arrays are also going to start counting from 0 when you are referencing their index. So index 0 is going to contain the value 1, index 1 is going to contain the value 2, and so on and so forth. So if we wanted to access one of the values inside the array, we will say array, open and close bracket, and then we will give the index that we want. So what this is going to do is it's going to access the first element in the array for us, which in this case is 1. And that's exactly what we got. Another way that we can set up an array is saying, hey, I want an array, but this time I want it to be of signed integer, 32 bits, and then I want it to have a specified length of 3. And then in here, you do the same thing. So we'll give it another 3 values, and in this case it is 4, 5, and 6. And it works the same exact way as before. So now what happens if we want to modify a value inside of an array? So if we came down here and said array2 of index 0 equals 10, that would be me trying to change the value 4 to the value 10. So do you think this will work, or will we get an error? If you said you think we will get an error, you are correct, because we did not make our array mutable. And luckily, if you happen to make this mistake, the Rust compiler is friendly enough to tell you, and it tells you, hey, you need to make your array mutable. So now if we go up here, make it mutable, and then try it again, we're good to go. So we changed the first value in the array from 4 to 10. Now another thing is what happens if we try to reference an index outside of the array? Meaning, since we only have 3 values, the highest index we should technically be able to go is 2. But what happens if we tried to reference index number 3, which does not exist in this case? So if we do that, what do you know? The Rust compiler is smart enough to tell us, hey, prior to runtime, you tried to reference an index that doesn't exist. So it's already doing that checking for us, but what happens if we did it dynamically at runtime? Well, it tells us right here, this operation will panic at runtime. And that is really good for us because we can actually handle panics in our code, which we will get to later in this course. And the big deal behind this is it's going to prevent the user in our program from being able to access unauthorized memory. So the Rust compiler is really good, and it's also very smart at being able to check our code prior to runtime to hopefully help us catch bugs before we put them into production.